Science Beetle.
So let's continue the discussion here. And when we talk about these numbers, remember we can put these numbers together in sequence. So it's important that we start talking about this concept known as the place value. So what is the place value? Well, the place value is when you have a number. Let's say that we have a number here like example 1, 2, 3. Okay. The place value is essentially going to be the value associated with a very specific number or the value associated with a specific set of numbers given where they are in place related to whole numbers and numbers that are less than whole numbers. We usually separate that distinction or make that distinction in reference to a decimal. So when we have this number 1, 2, 3, we need to consider where the whole numbers are. And there's this decimal that I'm going to have to include at this point. But let's go ahead and define what the place value is. So that is going to be the count associated with a number or with a digit or digits, plural, in sequence to represent the total count of a sequence of numbers. Okay, and so here, let's start with this very small step here. Let's identify this one here. The dot here represents the decimal. The decimal is very important for us because the decimal essentially says to the left of this number or to the left of this dot represents whole numbers or whole counts. These are going to be whole value counts of objects that we can count, coins that we can count, cars. So whatever these objects it is that we're actually engaged in counting or providing a certain value count to, the decimal essentially separates that distinction. So it says here that to the left, we've got whole numbers. Okay? And each individual step to the left of that is going to have a whole number value. But every number to the right here, these are called decimal numbers. And essentially the reason we call them that, or at least the way I call them that, is because these numbers here are going to have a value less than 1. Now, there is a sequence, and so we should probably do that here represented. So let me go ahead and put the decimal here at the bottom. And so the decimal represents the spot. And so here we're going to have several spots. I'm only going to draw 3 to the right, and I'm only going to draw 3 to the left. And these spots, essentially, we group them in sections of 3, but each section essentially is going to be associated with a very specific value that we've kind of come to form a standard around. Let's begin with the whole numbers first. So the whole numbers are going to have a value set in the very first position. So this one here is going to have the position value of the ones. The second space represents the tens. The third space represents the hundreds. Space. On the other side of things, so if we come over here to the right side, what we have is a slightly division. So let's go ahead and separate these out. So on the right side here, what we're going to get is the first block. This first block here is going to be represented by this is going to be the tenths. Notice the ending here, the THS, that's very different. And then the other side of things here, the second space. So this space here is the hundredths. So we're going to write the word hundred. And we're going to add THS at the end. That THS at the end is what's telling you that this is going to be a number less than 1. We see that over here on the tenths as well, so we're going to see that pattern repeated when you go to the right. And so the third final number here, the third one here, or the third space, that there is going to be the thousands. So I'll go in right here, 1,000. And then we're going to write THS at the end. Okay. So all of these here, though, just to kind of review or kind of bring this back up, remember all of these numbers here, these sections right here, these are decimals. So these are all less than 1. Now, the whole numbers, I've only shown you 3 here, but keep in mind that there's actually a lot more in terms of the placement, and so let's go and kind of briefly talk about that. So if you haven't already subscribed, please go ahead and do so. Keep watching, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next video.